and good morning. El Paso, a man under surveillance by the FBI and Joint Terrorism Task Force was shot and killed by police in Boston. And now another man is in custody after threatening to retaliate.
And back here in the borderland, one man is dead after police say he shot a security guard and then turned the gun on himself.
Basically, we're relying on the honesty of the people who work here, and up until now, that hasn't been a problem.
And ABC 7 spoke with the Doña County Clerk after 4 of his employees were arrested for allegedly taking part in a fraudulent check cashing scheme.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso.
Terror in Boston. A man under surveillance by the FBI and Joint Terrorism Task Force was shot and killed outside a CVS store Tuesday morning.
Police say an FBI agent and a police officer identified themselves and confronted the suspect. They say that's when the man pulled out a military-style knife.
The man was wanted because of some terrorist-related information authorities had received. We'll get to the latest details this morning in just a bit. But in the meantime, good Wednesday morning to you, El Paso. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Floren. Good morning, everyone. The time right now is 6:01, and Crystal's got a look at our forecast.
And Crystal, it's looking hot.
Yeah, we need to think it's that time of year for all the words to describe hot. I think yesterday I heard sweltering. I like that one. That's what we're talking later today. It is the season for some triple digits. Let's start with yesterday. We didn't make it there, but we were close. 99 the temperature that we hit in El Paso, 95 in Las Cruces, and 96 Guadalupe Pass to Deming. Now, if you're in El Paso yesterday and you say, felt more like 100 and above, you might be right. Some of our WeatherNet sites were right around 102 degrees, so there were a few areas that did hit above that triple-digit marker. Today, it looks like officially we may hit it in El Paso. Right now, though, we're at 80 in El Paso. Winds are at 16 miles per hour. Some light to breezy conditions this morning are possible, and then breezy to windy this afternoon. In Las Cruces, we're at 64 degrees with sun rising. Our winds are at 10 miles per hour. So how about in the days to come? Will the temperatures continue to rise or take that dip? We'll have the details in a few minutes.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Crystal. And now to that developing story. The Boston area is on terror watch this morning, just hours after police took down a lone wolf allegedly inspired by ISIS. And now police have another man in custody after he threatened to retaliate against police. ABC's TJ Holmes has the very latest on this story.
Usama Rahim had been under 24-hour surveillance by the U.S. Joint Terrorism Task Force.
Yeah, we have a gentleman, black male, 60, coming out armed with a knife.
Shortly after 7 o'clock Tuesday morning, an FBI agent and Boston police officer approached Rahim in a CVS parking lot in the Boston suburb of Roslindale to question him when he came at the officers with a large military-style knife.
They kept retreating, verbally giving commands to drop the weapon, and at some point the individual proximity came close that their lives were in danger.
The agent and officer opened fire, hitting Rahim twice.
It's a shot fired unit. It's a shot fired.
The suspect died with the knife left lying on the ground next to him. The investigation then widened, with police arresting a man in nearby Everett, Massachusetts, who had allegedly expressed an interest in taking up the ISIS call to attack police. Rahim had been under surveillance for at least the past 18 months as part of a federal investigation into homegrown violent extremists. Law enforcement officials tell ABC News they're investigating whether the 26-year-old had been inspired by ISIS through the terror network's social media campaign.
It will continue until we're satisfied that we've obtained all the information and evidence that there is to obtain.
Rahim's brother, a local imam, took to social media claiming his brother was on his way to work when Boston police shot him in the back. TJ Holmes, ABC News, New York.
Sheriff's deputies are investigating a deadly shooting in northwest El Paso. It happened Tuesday afternoon on the 5800 block of South Desert near Red Road and I-10. A spokeswoman with the county sheriff's office tells our newsroom the alleged shooter is dead. We're told sheriff's deputies located the car that matched the description of a getaway car wanted in a possible shooting in Anthony, New Mexico. A sheriff's spokesperson says the man who was in the car shot himself. Our cameras were rolling yesterday, moments after U.S. Marshals arrested a suspected gang leader in central El Paso. It happened at the Stagecoach Motel near University Medical Center. A deputy marshal told our photographer the suspect is in custody and is linked to a deadly stabbing in northeast El Paso.
And now to the latest from our New Mexico mobile newsroom. ABC 7 got reaction from the Doña Ana County clerk after 4 of his employees were arrested, accused of taking part in a fraudulent check cashing scheme. Lynn Ellens told ABC 7 the accusations are a shock to his entire office. The alleged ringleader, a county clerk office document technician, 42-year-old Maria Ceniceros. Also arrested her 24-year-old daughter Denise and her husband, 47-year-old Francisco Ceniceros. Others arrested are county document technicians Nadia Martinez and Emilia Gomez, Rena Rodriguez, who does recording and licensing as well for the clerk's office. Ellen says that in his 10 years in office, he has never had an accusation of a security breach or employees who are alleged to have cheated on the system. He says his office staff is in mourning after an investigation that discredits the hard work that his honest employees do every day.
Basically, we're relying on the honesty of the people who work here, and up until now, that hasn't been a problem, right? Obviously, it's a problem. Today, to what extent and how widespread, I won't know until this investigation is over.
Ellens and his chief deputy have not been accused of any wrongdoing here and are fully cooperating with authorities. Meanwhile, the 4 employees have been placed on temporary paid administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation.
And now let's get to our round-the-clock coverage. A tire blowout on the freeway caused some lanes on I-10 to be shut down after a telephone pole was knocked onto the freeway. This is video that our round-the-clock crew shot just after 3 o'clock this morning. And as you could see, that light pole was in the center of the interstate. Police on the scene said a U-Haul that had 2 tires in tow had a tire blowout. The tire then flew and knocked down that pole. 2 lanes of traffic were shut down, but the pole has been moved and the lanes are now open. No one was hurt. President Obama has signed legislation reviving and reshaping surveillance laws that expired Sunday night. He signed the bill last night, hours after the Senate gave its final approval. The law eliminates the National Security Agency's bulk phone records collection program and replaces it with a more restrictive measure to keep the records in the hands of phone companies.
In 1994, the North American Free Trade Agreement was passed. The agreement opened trading to Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. NAFTA increased commercial and legal trade between the countries. And while some believe the agreement fulfilled its promise, other small companies took a major hit due to the competition. If the Trans-Pacific Partnership is passed, some say the U.S. will see effects similar to those NAFTA had on the nation.
In terms of what we're seeing here on the border precisely is the increase on trade. Commercial and legal trade has been increased since NAFTA came in effect in that way.
When they passed the North American Free Trade Agreement, we lost 35,000 jobs, and that's what, those jobs never came back.
Again, this is coverage you'll see only here on ABC 7. Estella will be joining us today right here on Good Morning El Paso at 6:30 to tell us more about her sit-down interview later today with President Obama.
For years, residents of Northeast El Paso have wanted to see new life pumped into the old North Park Mall site. Last month, Sun Metro officials announced they are building a new transfer center located on the 9300 block of Diana Drive. And happening today, a public meeting to update the community on this major construction project. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas is live now with the details. Denise.
Good morning, Stephanie. Not only is Sun Metro's newest transfer center going to help people get around easier, but it's part of what is becoming a new kind of community. A design company is currently working on a layout on what the Sun Metro Transfer Center will look like, which used to be the home of North Park Mall that has since been torn down. Federal funding has been approved to build the terminal. It will include a parking garage so people can park and ride to other parts of the city. The transfer center will also be part of a much larger walkable community. Hunt Metro 31, that's a part of Hunt Communities, is leasing from the city 31 acres next to the future transfer center. The plan is to develop the area into a smart code community with shops, restaurants, lofts, and apartments. And well, this community meeting will be held tonight at 6 p.m. at the Northeast Regional Command Center, located at 9600 Dyer. And coming up in our next half hour, more on what exactly will be discussed at tonight's meeting. That's coming up in just a bit. Hillary and Stephanie, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Denise.
And taking a look at traffic, courtesy of our TxDOT traffic cameras over on the east side at I-10 and McRae, where you can see that traffic is starting to pick up just slightly, but no problems to tell you about at this time.
Looking good. President Sepp Blatter stepping down as head of soccer's governing body.
The action comes just days after he was elected to another term amid a widening corruption scandal.
And the El Paso Chihuahuas celebrating a win this morning after a 3-game losing streak. They needed that win. We'll take a look at some of the highlights coming up in just a bit.
And meteorologist Crystal Clyde has your detailed forecast. Crystal.
Well, our temperature's already at 80 outside in El Paso. How high might we go later today? The details are after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.